Have you ever worked harder than everyone around you, stayed later, tried more, cared more, and still watched someone less talented than you walk away with everything you wanted? Maybe it was a promotion, a business, a relationship. Maybe it was simply the version of yourself you have been trying to become for longer than you care to admit. If that question landed somewhere uncomfortable, this video was made for you. I am not going to waste your time. By the end of these next few minutes, you will finally understand the invisible force that has been quietly working against you your entire life, and more importantly, exactly how to dismantle it. Here is something the data shows, and this number stopped me cold. According to Dr. Joseph Ferrari of DePaul University, a psychologist who has dedicated over 30 years of his career exclusively to studying chronic self-defeat, 20% of all adults worldwide are chronic self-saboteurs. Not occasional, not situational, chronic. That means right now, 1 in every 5 people watching this video is trapped in a pattern they did not consciously choose. And Dr. Piers Steele of the University of Calgary, whose 2007 landmark review analyzed 691 separate studies on self-regulation failure, found that over 95% of chronic self-saboteurs are fully aware their behavior is harming them and feel completely powerless to stop it. They know. They want to stop. They cannot. Sound familiar? Now, you do not need to spend 3 years in a psychology library reading 700-page textbooks on cognitive behavioral theory. You do not need to pay $200 an hour for a therapist to slowly piece this together session by session, because I have already done all of that for you. Every study, every paper, every interview, right here in the next few minutes, for free. So let me tell you a story. His name is Daniel. Daniel is 28 years old. He is hardworking, ambitious, creative, the kind of person who stays late, reads the extra book, and genuinely wants to build something meaningful with his life. Everyone who meets Daniel says the same thing. That guy is going somewhere. But there is one problem. Daniel has never finished anything. 3 unfinished business ideas, 2 abandoned online courses, 1 relationship he ended just as it was becoming something real. And he cannot explain why. It always starts the same way. A new idea arrives, and it feels electric. Daniel stays up late researching, planning, dreaming. He tells his friends. He buys the course. He starts the business plan. And for the first few weeks, everything is momentum. Then something happens. Progress slows. The work gets harder. A shinier new idea appears on the horizon. And one morning, without even deciding to, Daniel simply stops. He tells himself he will come back to it. He never does. 2 years pass. Daniel watches a former colleague launch the exact business he abandoned. He watches a university friend, someone he once mentored, receive a promotion he had wanted for himself. And here is where something darker begins. In their landmark 1978 study at Georgia State University, psychologists Dr. Pauline Rose Clance and Dr. Suzanne Imes identified what they called the imposter phenomenon, the experience of high-achieving individuals who, despite clear evidence of their ability, are convinced deep down that they do not deserve their success. That 2019 systematic review, published in the Journal of General Internal Medicine, examined 62 studies covering over 14,000 people and found that imposter syndrome affects between 9 and 82% of professionals, with the most rigorous measurement tools placing the figure at 64.5%, nearly 2/3. Just like many of them, Daniel had talent. Just like many of them, he had opportunity. And just like many of them, something kept getting in the way. Not bad luck, not a lack of resources, something inside him. One evening, Daniel sat down with a notebook and forced himself to ask a question he had been avoiding for years. What if it is not bad luck? What if it is not circumstances? What if the only thing standing between me and the life I want is me? That question sat in his chest like a stone, because somewhere, quietly, he already knew the answer. The next morning, Daniel met with an old professor, a man who had spent 40 years studying human behavior, a man who had heard stories exactly like Daniel's more times than he could count. Daniel laid everything out, every abandoned project, every missed opportunity, every moment he had been close to something real, and walked away. The professor looked at him for a long moment and said something Daniel would not forget for the rest of his life. The problem has a name, he said. Psychologists call it self-handicapping, and it was first formally identified in 1978 by Dr. Stephen Berglass of Harvard Medical School and Dr. Edward Jones of Princeton University. In their original experiment, Berglass and Jones gave participants a near impossible test and then told all of them, regardless of how they performed, that they had scored brilliantly. Before round 2, participants were offered a choice, a drug that would enhance performance or one that would impair it. 70% of those with self-doubt chose the option that would hurt their performance, not because they wanted to fail, but because creating an excuse felt safer than risking proof that they were not good enough. As clinical psychologist Dr. Laura Copley writes in her 2023 book, Loving You is Hurting Me, self-sabotage is not a character flaw. It is a survival pattern built by a brain that learned, somewhere along the way, that it was safer not to try than to try and be seen failing. Daniel, the professor said quietly, you are not afraid of failure. You are afraid of success, because success would mean there are no more excuses. The professor slid a card across the table. On it were 3 words: start, stay, finish. Every morning for the next 30 days, the professor said, I want you to identify one task you have been avoiding. Not a big one, a small one. Start it. Stay with it past the uncomfortable middle and finish it, no matter how imperfect the result. Daniel started. The first week was uncomfortable but manageable. The second week, a former business partner reached out with what sounded like an exciting new opportunity. The old pattern whispered, this new thing is better. Start fresh. You can always come back. Daniel felt the familiar pull, the electricity of something new, the way beginnings always feel easier than middles. He wrote the professor's words on a piece of paper and taped it above his desk. Start, stay, finish. He closed the email and kept going. By the end of 30 days, Daniel had completed 6 tasks he had been postponing for months. Not perfectly, but completely. And something inside him shifted. He did not become a different person overnight, but he became someone who could look at the pattern, recognize it for what it was, and choose differently. That is not a small thing. That is everything. This story is not just about Daniel. It is about the student who keeps restarting the same chapter because finishing it means being judged on the result. It is about the professional who abandons projects at 80% done and tells themselves they will come back when the timing is better. It is about the person who ends relationships just as they get real because vulnerability feels more dangerous than loneliness. It is about you. And it is about me. And the single most important thing I want you to take from this story is the pattern is not permanent. It was learned, and it can be unlearned. 3 lessons from Daniel's story. Lesson 1. Self-sabotage is not laziness, it is protection. Your brain built this pattern to keep you safe from the pain of failure. Understanding that removes shame, and shame is what keeps the pattern alive. Lesson 2. The middle phase is where dreams die. It is also where character is built. The middle is not a problem, it is the test. Lesson 3. Completion rewires identity. perfection does not. Every finished thing, however imperfect, tells your subconscious a new story about who you are, and identity, once changed, changes everything else. If you have been living with this pattern, if you recognize yourself in Daniel's story, I want you to hear this directly.
You are not broken. You are not lazy. You are not less than anyone else who seems to be moving forward. You are someone who built a very effective protection system at a time in your life when you needed it. You just do not need it anymore. And the moment you stop protecting yourself from the life you want is the moment you can finally start building it. Here is your challenge for this week. Identify one thing you have been avoiding. Just one. Something you have started and not finished. Something you have been telling yourself you will get back to. This week, start it. Stay with it past the uncomfortable middle and finish it, imperfectly if you must, but completely. And notice what happens to how you feel about yourself when you do. If this story landed somewhere real for you, if you recognized yourself even a little in Daniel, then subscribe to Mind Architect. Every video on this channel is built the same way. Real psychology, real data, real stories, designed to help you redesign the mind and rebuild the life. And in the comments below, I want you to tell me the one thing you are going to finish this week. Write it down. Make it real. I will read every single one. Design the mind, design the life.